All right, welcome everyone to KTA Middle School Curriculum Night. This is for your 7th and 8th grade teachers. I am your friendly neighborhood math teacher, Mr. Smith. All right, I want to review absence policy for you a little bit. This is based on all teachers. Each teacher might have a slight variation to it, but normally it is the same. So if a student is out one day, they have 1 day to make up homework, 2 days, 2 days, 3 days, and so forth. It is their responsibility to pick up whatever handouts, and more honestly, on our end now, most everything is going to be posted in Google Classroom. And of course, just like always, try to avoid any non-illness absences whenever possible, because it's very hard to teach your student when they're not in their seats. Grading policy for math is 70% is assessments. We are getting ready to enter high school pretty soon. So the major part of their grade is going to be their assessment, and all the homework and classwork is leading up to that. So 70% is assessments, 30% is divided between classwork and homework. Homework is a very important tool for your students to practice the skills necessary for mastery. This is extremely important in math. All right. Homework is a chance to practice the skills. We are not grading for accuracy on homework. Of course, if your student is struggling on accuracy, we will help them out, but they need to make sure to use this to prepare for their tests. They're studying and interacting with their notes nightly. If we have any projects, they're extensions of topics in class. And late homework will be accepted for partial credit for up to a week after it is assigned. All right, so as far as math goes, the major part of our grade is our Carnegie assessment, which is at the end of every topic. There are also weekly entry tickets the students take that are worth a quarter of a test for a quiz grade. We normally make those easier on the spectrum as far as compared to the regular test, but it is extremely important so we can see what skills they have yet to master. Test retakes, we are all allowed to make mistakes. The one thing we want to make sure is if we make a mistake that we try to rectify that. So any student that gets below an 80% on a test has the ability to come to me and reschedule a test. They have 1 week to do it. It is going to be basically the same test. It might be different numbers, but it is the same concepts. And the higher grade will replace the lower grade. All right, it is important if you need to get a hold of me. The easiest way I will say is through email, which is ksmith@kyrene.org. Also, my phone number at school is 480-541-5567. I always like to kind of joke around with the kids, so I use a quote about trying to put our best effort in and knowing it's going to be better. From Mookie Wilson, an 80s baseball player for the Mets, stated, "When I'm in a slump, I comfort myself by saying, if I believe in dinosaurs, then somewhere they must be believing in me. And if they believe in me, then I can believe in me. Then I bust out." So if you ever hear one of your students say that there's a dinosaur that believes in them, that probably came from me. Math is an extremely important aspect to our Carnegie curriculum to get the skills practice to reach mastery. It is the online practice portion we do every Friday. The students also know how to get in it. They can go to kyrene.org, make sure that they are logged into the district website, and they go to Clever, and then they go to Mathia, and they can do that. This is an excellent opportunity for your students to also get above grade level if they want to work on above grade level stuff after mastery of their current grade level. What is going to be coming up in the next few slides is I teach 7th, 8th grade, and also Algebra 1. These are the breakdowns by quarter of the major concepts that we will be going over. So I'm not going to talk over these. I'm going to let each slide last for a couple of seconds, and then you can view them on your own to see what your students will be learning.
Hello, my name is Brandy Haas, and I am your child's 7th and 8th grade language arts teacher. We cover several things in language arts, and one of the first things that we cover are all of these different aspects of reading. We have 4 thematic units that include various selections such as short stories, informational text, poetry, novels, and more. And we have 4 units that we will focus on. The first is human intelligence, what matters, the Holocaust, and rites of passage. The first unit that we delve into is human intelligence. We focus on neurology and education as far as real world connections go. We have a lot of fun digging into the human brain and what makes every human intelligent in different ways. Some questions that we ask, some guiding questions that we ask are, in what different ways can people be intelligent? How do we perceive the world differently? And how do we learn, and what aspects of our learning affect who we are? The anchor text that we use is A Mango-Shaped Space by Wendy Moss, and our applied writing for this unit is the races responses, which is simply restating the question, answering the question, citing evidence, explaining that evidence, and summarizing. And that we will use throughout the entire year when we are doing any reader responses. So that's an essential skill that we will learn. The next unit is what matters. Some real world connections are public speaking and human rights. Essential questions that we focus on are, when is it right to make a stand? What would you be willing to do to achieve it? And what sacrifices should people be expected to make to achieve what matters most? We talk a lot about human rights in this unit, and one of the texts that we focus on is Farewell to Manzanar. Our applied writing are argumentative essays, and students will be picking a topic that is important to them to argue and communicate that through an essay. The third unit is the Holocaust. We discuss law and problem-based learning. Essential questions, we talk about injustice, hatred, and bigotry. What are the consequences of war, and how do these vary based on an individual and cultural perspective? Our anchor text is the classic The Boy and the Striped Pajamas by John Boyne, and our applied writing will be a closing argument for a mock trial, so that will get really interesting. And finally, our fourth unit that we will get to at the end of the year is Rites of Passage. We talk a lot about sociology, psychology. We also talk about some essential questions about milestones on the path to adulthood. How do individuals transform between childhood and teenage years? And what roles do our family, culture, and community play in shaping us? The anchor text is The House on Mango Street, and our applied writing will be personal narrative in the form of vignettes. We also cover various writing aspects as well: narrative, argumentative, and explanatory pieces. We will have a strong focus on refining and narrowing down these essay skills that students have learned in middle school thus far. We'll be incorporating and explaining text evidence, analyzing arguments thoroughly, and crafting counter arguments, organizing our information, as well as learning the proper MLA format. As far as language goes, we focus heavily on vocabulary and grammar. We learn determining the meaning of an unknown word using context clues in Greek and Latin roots. And we also dissect sentences in writing in order to analyze verbals, verb mood, and active and passive voice as well. As far as speaking and listening goes, we do a lot of one-on-one, group, teacher-led discussions, and many of these different various speaking and listening skills will also be learned through philosophical chairs, Socratic seminars, and other AVID strategies, since we are an AVID school. Presentations of work will include visual displays, multimedia components. We will also have various interpretations of speeches and multimedia presentations, as well as adaptation of speech appropriate to context as well. So it's extremely important for students to be reading every day, and here's a little infographic on why that's so important. I would love for students to be reading 20 minutes at home every day. As you can see, a student who reads 20 minutes every day is reading 3,600 minutes per school year, which would equate to 1,800,000 words per year. So that's a huge benefit for them. And those students do tend to score better on standardized tests. So that's an extra bonus for students. And a few more facts. Assuming that students start reading every day in kindergarten, by the end of 6th grade, they will have read for an equivalent of 60 school days. And that's really our goal. We want students to be reading. It makes everything a lot easier for them in language arts class. So please have students read for 20 minutes at home every day. Students will also have homework every day for language arts. So tacking on that 20 minutes of reading at home every day is extremely essential for them. If you have any questions, please reach me at this with using the information on this slide, bihas@kyrene.org, and then my phone number is also listed on here as well. If you have any questions, please leave your student's name, and I will get back to you as soon as possible.
Hi, I'm Mr. McIntyre, and I teach social studies at KTA Middle School. Welcome to Curriculum Night. I do things a little differently. I use a self-paced flipped classroom. So it's probably backwards from what most families are used to. I teach on videos, and I have students do their work during class. That way they could get help. So there's 3 levels of work to do. Must do is the essential work. Should do is a little bit more analyzing. And then aspire to do is actually creating stuff with what students learned. Students watch my videos. They could do it during class too, if they don't have access at home. And then they'll be given the time and the resources to do their work in class. If they don't get the best grade and they want to redo it, they have opportunities to resubmit work after they've gotten their work graded and gotten their feedback. That way they can make sure they master stuff before they move on. And if everybody puts enough work in, they can all get straight A's. So the way it breaks down is must do is the essentials. It's just knowing stuff, remembering stuff. Should do is developing that mastery. It's analyzing and applying things. And aspire to do is going to be those higher level thinking skills where you create brand new stuff with what you learned. Grading is broken down on a 100-point scale. We also do writing assignments that are on a 4-point scale. And the way that that works is 4 is an A. That's 100 to a 90. 3 is a B. It's 89 to 80. 2 is a C. 79 to 70. 1 is a D. 69 to 60. And 0 is an F, which is 59 to 50. Usually a 4 means that you've got it and you could help other students learn it. A 3 means that you got it. Might be tough to teach to somebody else. 2 means you just about have it. And with a little extra effort, you might be able to get there. 1 needs more practice. And then 0, usually you just didn't turn something in or you didn't try hard enough. So with a little bit of work, you could probably bring that grade up. And on the 4-point scale, students don't get scored below a 50%. So 50 and above is the grades that you get. Student work's due by the due date. Late work will be accepted. And if you've put the time and effort in, you can earn up to full credit in my class. And missing work will get an F on it, a 0, until you turn it in. 8th grade social studies is the origin of the government, rights, laws, and citizenship, human rights, economic systems, and personal finance. As it breaks down, the standards are going to focus on the skills and processes of how to work like a historian, civics, which is how to participate in government and society, economics, which is mostly macroeconomics, the big picture, and personal finance to help students who are probably going to start working in high school, geography, how that impacts history and economics, and then history, how events shape government and economics.
Hello, my name is Miss Logvin and I teach 7th and 8th grade science. My contact information is provided below. Please feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Please note that email is the best way to contact me. My daily agenda and assignments will always be located on Google Classroom. Students can access this at any time when they are absent or need to look up resources related to the science classroom. Our science curriculum is designed to meet the needs of all learning styles of students. Visual, auditory, and kinesthetic styles of learning will be done through a variety of ways, such as note-taking, class discussions, and labs. Our science curriculum is through SABIS Elevate Science, which is based on Next Generation Science Standards, or NGSS. Students will receive a consumable textbook for each topic, and they will frequently use this resource in the classroom. In addition to being in a more traditional classroom, we will be utilizing the KTA lab weekly. We will engage in inquiry-based learning and will do hands-on activities in labs. Currently, our day of being in the lab will be Thursdays, which is something that could change. So this year, students will engage in the following science topics throughout the year: lab safety and atoms and chemical reactions, energy transfer, waves and information technology, and diversity of life. Students that are in GATE Science will use the same curriculum map, but will differ in the depth and complexity of the topics we discuss. In addition, students will participate in additional inquiry-based projects and assignments. Grading in science class will be divided up into 70% assessment, which are quizzes and projects, 25% classwork, which includes classwork, laboratory investigations, interactive binder checks, and homework. And finally, bell ringer questions are worth 5%. These daily bell ringers are done within the first 5 minutes of class and need to be completed even if a student is absent. Finally, homework in the science class can come from unfinished classwork, students being given time to process or interact with notes taken during class, projects, or studying. Thank you for your time, and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.